Question is how to be a good Muslim and set boundaries. This is such a beautiful question. So, one thing which happens to us, especially if we've been through difficult life experiences, we might have been raised in a home where we were abused or neglected, and this caused something within us that made us grow up to abandon ourselves in some way, right? And when it comes to boundaries, a big part of that is from a sense of self, right? So what happens is when we don't have a strong sense of self, what we tend to do is we let people either in too close and we get hurt, or we end up becoming so rigid that we end up pushing everyone away. And both of those are intimacy breakers. Both of them are very dangerous if you want a good relationship with someone. So there's two components when it comes to boundaries. Of course, there is knowing who you are first and foremost, building that relationship with yourself. But the two components which are so important that we might not have had when we were children is self-compassion, which is an aspect of mothering ourselves, literally mothering ourselves. And there's self-protection, which is what the father's role is inside of the home, right? So this again, we might not have received as children, but we can grow up and we can do it to ourselves. Once we have a healthy amount of loving ourselves, right? And there is a process to this as well. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But once we have this love for ourselves, naturally we're going to want to protect ourselves. And that is where the boundaries don't become so hard to recognize. And they become much more embodied, meaning that like when someone is around you and they do something that is disrespectful to you, instead of feeling like, let me make excuses for them, they did this, they did that, instead of feeling like that, what we feel is this is the healthy way to feel after much work and embodiment work is, I didn't feel good about that. And I value myself. And now, because I love myself, not in a way that is self-adulation, like a narcissist would, right? It's not adoration for no reason. It's genuinely you value yourself and you see your worth as well, because Allah made us so beautiful and so important in our role in living our purpose, which is to worship Him. Once we accept that we are important, then we can put those boundaries down in a way that is compassionate. You're still compassionate to yourself and you will be compassionate to other people, but there is this strong back, right? This strength that is holding you up when you put those boundaries down. And you'll say something very nicely, but very firmly, like, that didn't feel good. Right. And you know that it didn't feel good because what you feel is from a centered place. Now, to get to that stage where we can balance our self-compassion and also self-protection, there's a lot of embodiment work, there's a lot of somatic work, which we did at the beginning of this, that has to go into it for us to recognize that this is how I feel. Because a lot of the time when we've been through pain, we disassociate with how our body feels and how we feel emotionally, because it's a way that we had to do that to survive. And we have to almost fall in love with ourselves again, like we would to a partner, and get to know what we like, what we love, treat ourselves, and then do the balance of being kind to ourselves whilst putting boundaries and connecting with other people as well.